Swiss Army Man is an impossibly categorizable buddy comedy about Hank, who is initially stranded on a desert island, having given up on all hope of ever making it back home, and is attempting to commit suicide. But one day, everything changes when a corpse named Manny washes up on shore, who slowly but surely starts to reanimate, and the odd pair quickly become friends, setting out on an epic, wacky, and surreal journey of self-discovery in the wilderness. They're able to do this because Manny possesses some extraordinary powers, which includes using his body as a sort of Swiss Army knife, giving them the ability to use his continuous farting, yes, obviously a common trait among cadavers, as a way to jet ski across the water, or as a jetpack to fly across the sky, for example. Now, as you could have probably guessed, judging by that plot synopsis, this film isn't particularly realistic. Yes, it's a buddy comedy at heart, I guess I can acknowledge that. Because yeah, basically, this is a story about two guys who are strangers to each other at first, who don't really have much in common. I mean, come on, one of them is dead, the other one is alive. How much can they possibly have in common? But they have to start bonding, they have to learn to accept each other's imperfections, and work together, because that is going to be the only way they will find a way to get themselves out of the unpleasant situation. Now, besides that, the film can really make it hard on you as the viewer to sort of make heads or tails of it. I mean, if you're expecting some clear-cut explanation for, like, how did Hank get on the island? How is Manny able to function if he is a dead person? Is this all just in someone's imagination, in someone's head? You might end up not being completely satisfied. But in my humble opinion, I think we do get an explanation for all of that by the end of the film. But it's still considerably vague and up for debate when probably compared to more conventional, less idiosyncratic, less bizarre, less zany films. This film is so stubborn and so amusingly eccentric that I really can't help but admire it. Of course, that wouldn't be enough to actually make it a good movie if it didn't also have some stellar performances and some very relatable characters. The only thing I knew about this film is that it starred Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe, and just like with A Perfect Day earlier this year which starred Benicio del Toro and Tim Robbins, there's just something about putting these two actors in a film that makes so much fucking sense that I don't even think I can describe it. Paul Dano has been one of my favorite young actors ever since Little Miss Sunshine and There Will Be Blood, all the way up to last year's Youth, and basically everything he has done in between I have seen him in has been stellar. And Daniel Radcliffe, I think, has also proven his versatility and talent as an actor, especially in films like Kill Your Darlings and Imperium. I hear he has also received high critical acclaim for his work in theater as well, and he truly managed to prove that he is not just another one of those one-hit wonder child actors. I think the performances in Swiss Army Man are some of my favorites from both of these actors. One definitely doesn't overshadow the other, and besides their performances, I think this is in no small part also thanks to the excellent way these characters are written. Because their relationship is very dualistic. One can definitely not survive without the other, but at the same time, these are two separate and vastly different entities, and this can be noticed even at their most basic of characteristics. Hank is very jumpy, very moody, very paranoid, very impulsive. He constantly says mean things to Manny, for which he immediately apologizes for. And at the end of the day, Hank basically just wants to get back to his routine, wants to get back to his day-to-day life. Manny, in comparison, is like a big baby trapped inside an adult's body. He has no intention of getting back to his past life because he doesn't remember anything about his life. He seems optimistic, he is constantly curious, and he just feels blessed that he has his friend who is taking care of him and with whom he is having the time of his life. Or the time of his death? I'm not really sure. The very boyish nature of this film made the experience of watching it very relatable to me. Because I'm a boy, obviously. And the conversations they have with each other is like Hank is constantly trying to teach Manny some manners, of which he has absolutely none because he remembers nothing of the world. And they talk about things like how to behave around girls, about masturbation, about erections. And it's some of the most silly conversations I have ever heard in a film. But simultaneously, it's also very sweet and very endearing how these two guys manage to bond with each other. The film is also very funny because it contains a lot of physical humor, a lot of running around, a lot of falling, a lot of slapstick, let's say, and it's also another way these actors manage to showcase their talents at physical comedy, because Hank is basically this very fidgety person. Like, I don't think there's a single moment he is standing still, while Manny is basically, he's a corpse, so he's motionless. And this also showcases again that dualistic nature between the characters. Like one is constantly on the move, one is constantly like not moving. I find it really strange how some critics found this film to be somewhat underdeveloped, somewhat lacking, a little bit hard to understand. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear that, okay, besides being about friendship, I think this film is even more about loneliness, honestly. I think it's about honesty, actually. There's this very cute moment when Hank is trying to teach Manny how to pick up girls, but eventually he has to admit that, hey, I'm not really good at this either. And I think it's also about how you should try to be as true to yourself as you should be to others as well. And the film is definitely not a mockery of the things it is talking about. I mean, yeah, sure, it's hilarious and it's full of poop jokes and fart jokes and all of that, but there's also this dark undercurrent all over the film. I mean, the film does start with Hank attempting to commit suicide, for crying out loud. And the ending as well, it's like, because it's so vague, you don't really know if this is a happy end or if this is tragic. It's up for you to decide. And honestly, I loved it. So Swiss Army Man, definitely recommend it. I thought it was one of the best times I had watching a movie recently, and it was also pretty emotionally stirring. So yeah, recommend it, of course. Thanks for watching my review, as always, and I will see you later with other reviews. Until then, take care folks, and goodbye.